everybody, welcome back. My name is Jumbo Fluff, and today I am drawing a new character. This new character is designed for the winter season. She will be a witch, and she's really themed around the holiday of Christmas. So I didn't know exactly where I wanted to start. So just to get a base down, I looked at a reference on Pinterest and drew out a little body for a person. You guys see me kind of mess around with it a little bit, work on the proportions. I thought she was a little too skinny to get started with, so I adjusted a little bit later. And I just kind of clean up all the lines and the shapes, just trying to keep things loose and messy, but still in a way that I like it. So to draw out the mannequin, I just kind of went with this little pose where she's got one foot in front of the other, and then one hand kind of out to the side so we can see the silhouette of her sleeve, and then another hand up behind her hat. Maybe that's because I didn't feel like drawing another hand. But yeah, I just drew it out really quick because this is mostly just a test for silhouette and for color schemes and to see how I feel the vibe is going. For this first one, I just went ahead and drew on a hat for her. I figured since they're all going to be witchy designs that they'll probably end up having a hat. So I adjusted her body proportions a little bit, and I liked how she's looking nice and round and cute. And then I thought I'd go ahead and start sketching out the first outfit concept. For this first look, I was thinking of a Christmas tree, kind of thinking about like a Victorian inspiration, a little bit of like Charles Dana Gibson vibes. Just something that's a little bit more frilly and over the top, a little bit like, a Christmas Carol vibes or something. Just a little more like classic old school Christmas lady. So I started out with these poofy sleeves and this tight top and a nice warm collar. And then for the bottom of the dress, I went with like a T-length dress skirt that would be really round and fluffy and kind of mimic like a Christmas tree. And then I went over with like this little overskirt piece, and that has like little ruffles, and I feel like that really sells like the Christmas tree look. I finished it off with some little boots and a witch's hat. And this hat I drew like a long droopy hat. I'm not sure how I end up feeling about the hat, but the rest of the outfit I thought was pretty cute. For the second look, I was thinking also vintage, but more like a 1940s vibe with like a tight pencil skirt and a cute little capelet. And she gets a witch's hat too because, she's a witch. And then just some stockings on there. And yeah, just a nice little simple silhouette for this one. And I just kind of clean up all the edges and make sure it's looking okay. And it was really easy to just kind of copy my little mannequin model and paste her 3 times so I could just focus on drawing the outfit. For the third look, I was thinking more like an ice skater or something, a little more fun and flirty. So for this one, maybe more like a 1960s Christmas. When I go in with the colors, I really think this one kind of sells that like mid-century modern, kitschy Christmas vibes. But I liked all 3 of the looks, so it was really fun to just kind of draw them out and try them and see which one I liked the best. I thought about drawing out all 3 as the final illustration, but I ended up picking my favorite one. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite and if I chose right. So for this witch, I added on some ice skates because I thought that would be really cute too. Then I picked out these color palettes for everybody. You can see that this fluffy one, I went with kind of like a more pop, bright colors. I think that the like aqua blue and the pink are really like the things that make it feel like that mid-century, like 1960s kitschy Christmas vibes. Also for her hat, I went with the really fluffy silhouette, which I thought would be really cute if it was like white faux fur. For the leggings, I made up a different color. It's just a little bit more of a lighter version of the aqua color. And on the skirt, I drew on some ornaments, kind of thinking of like almost like a Christmas tree skirt that would be decorated with like ornaments and reindeer and whatever else, you know. I also added on some cute little ruffles around the wrist and the bottom of the skirt, and also around the bust. So I think that this outfit turned out really cute. In my second outfit, I went with like a gingerbread inspired theme. This one's a little more monochromatic because it's kind of playing with shades of brown and yellow. Kind of really leaning into like the color of the gingerbread cookies and the frosting that goes on them. So I finished up with this hat, the leggings, the little cape. Everything is kind of in the same color scheme. And then I went over the top of it and added on some details to kind of look like frosting. I think that this look turned out really cute as well. But I think that it also could maybe benefit from a few additional colors with maybe some more focus on like little candies and embellishments that you would put on a gingerbread house. Just to kind of give it a little more pizzazz, because it does kind of come out like very monochromatic, and I think that more colors might have been more fun and more festive. Alright, so then I moved on to the final look. Now this look is, like I was saying before, kind of more Victorian inspired, and definitely a lot more like richer color scheme, more saturated colors, almost like emerald and ruby, kind of going for more of like a rich, luxurious look. I thought it would be fun to play with the colors of red and green because, you know, those are the most classic Christmas colors, and I feel like this is kind of like the most classic look. So I wanted to emulate the feeling of a Christmas tree with like the green and kind of like the triangular shape. And then the bottom of the tree, well, the bottom of the dress would be more like almost like a skirt, like a Christmas tree skirt, which I know I said for the other outfit too, but I think it's still true this time. And then the boots are like a brown color, so they're almost like the stem, the trunk of the tree. Trees don't have stems. But one reason that I liked this one was there's a lot of room to play with colors and patterns on the big skirt, and also the peplum part of the overcoat where it flares out and it could have like stripes on it. So I thought this was just a really fun shape, and it had a lot of room to play with patterns and different textures, and just kind of making it fun and Christmassy. So then I just wanted to show a little quick look at all three outfits together, and I just decided to pick my favorite look and turn that into a full illustration and kind of develop a character around that look. So let me know in the comments which of the looks is your favorite. I think that all three of them had lots of potential and could have been really fun characters. But the one that I ended up going with is the Christmas tree looking, more Victorian look, you know, look number one. Sometimes your first idea is your best idea. I don't know what else to say about it. So I just wanted to get this character down on the paper, well, the screen. So I started with just kind of a reference photo of a girl. I think I put into Pinterest like woman Christmas stock photo or something. And I used her body pose to map out this quick sketch of her pose, and then I just put a little Christmas tree in the background, and I started fitting out the dress like I had drawn it before. I went through one quick sketch, which is this one, which is kind of messy, and then I go through again and do some line art. But after the line art phase, I actually went through another time later and added some more texture onto the lines. I'm not really sure if I end up liking the textured lines. I think that I'm kind of new to rendering in digital art, so I'm trying to figure out exactly what I want my look to be. It's just it feels a lot like drawing traditional art, but it also feels a lot different. So I also, in this part, I got to draw out the girl's face, and I decided to change her hat. So I gave her like a nice, loose updo, kind of like the Gibson girl style that I mentioned earlier, where it's kind of messy but kind of polished. And then instead of the long droopy witch's hat, I gave her like this headdress thing. I'm not exactly sure what you would call it. It's kind of like a hat, but also it has like a fabric panel that drapes down in the back. I spent a little bit of time drawing out her face. I think her face turned out pretty cute, but I think that her chin's a little uneven, so I kind of wish I took a little more time on it. But I think that her face turned out really cute. I like her expression a lot. She's kind of like looking off to the side, all coy, like, "Oh, it's Christmas? I had no idea." But really, she knew. She knew what was up. I tried brainstorming some ideas for this witch's name, and I think my favorite is Everly. She kind of reminds me of a Christmas tree, so I wanted something that had a Christmas tree vibe. And I thought something like pine or aspen, or I don't know, none of those sounded right. Like something that's like an actual tree. But I liked Everly because it sounds a little bit like evergreen, but also a twist on it that's a little bit different. So she is a Christmas witch. So I went ahead and drew in a Christmas tree in the background, and you can see it's super duper rough. I really wasn't too concerned with the background. Sometimes I try to draw backgrounds in my images, and it just kind of gets lost because I spend so much time on it and I'm never actually happy with it. So I just decided to keep a really simple background in this piece and then blur it out, so it's more of an effect than anything else. So I just kind of went with like the same colors as the dress but more muted versions of them, so it goes together with the illustration but it doesn't distract too much. I went ahead and filled in the character, and I colored on with the pixels locked, so I couldn't color outside the lines, and I blocked in the colors that I had chosen before. So you can see that I actually used my first drawing with the 3 outfit designs in the top right corner as a reference, so I could just color pick straight from it to make sure that my colors were matching. So it's pretty easy to block in the colors this way. I don't have to worry about coloring outside the lines. And it was nice to kind of turn my brain off for a little bit and just kind of color. I really like the way that the colors look together. I think that the color scheme turned out really nice. The color that her skin is right this second, I think is a little too washed out, so I changed it to something a little, redder in tone, something a little pinker, a little bit later. So I think it's kind of fun to think about a Christmas witch and what kind of like spells she would know, what kind of stuff she could do. So I feel like she definitely like has a smell of cinnamon. Like she's just been baking some cookies for you. She's definitely a nice witch. She has some special skills with decorating, so maybe she can enchant trees to decorate themselves. Maybe she has like a really good sense of like what a good gift is. Like she has exceptional powers of empathy or something. So she's like, oh, I know what to get you. As soon as she meets you, she knows the perfect gift for you. And things like the perfect decorations. Like she just really gets like people really well. So she's very friendly. So you can see here where I start adding in some color on her cheeks, and I think it makes her feel a lot more alive. I also added in some color for her hair and her eyes. I went with brown hair and brown eyes. I think that her eyes turned out really cute. Her hair was very flat at this point, but later I go through and I add some rendering to it, and I think it looks really nice after that. I like using the pinkish hue on the cheeks, and the fingers, and just kind of making her skin look a little more lively. I used the lasso tool to block out where I wanted some shadows to go. I drew the shadows in with a textured brush. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. I think it might have been better just to use like a solid brush, like a round brush or something, just because sometimes where the shadows are, it looks a little splotchy. So I mixed in hard shadows and soft shadows by going around and smudging the edges where I wanted them to be softer. I used a orangish red color on the skin for shadows, but then here on the dress and the accessories and things where I added more shadows, I went through with a bluish color. I think that the colors work well together, and it's nice to have a little bit of different colors in the shadows. And the bluer shadows come out darker. To add in shadows, I just block in the shapes, and then I use a multiply layer and add the color on top of the layers below. I like adding in these different sections and different stripes just to kind of add ruffles and folds into the fabric. I think that it looks nice and it catches the light in different ways. I also go through and add another layer of shadow on her skin in places where the shadows would be darker. So places like right beneath her head where her chin meets her neck would have a darker shadow. So those kind of places I add in another layer of shadows that's more of like a purplish color. So I like combining the different tones. I think that it makes the colors in the piece look a little more interesting. Overall, I was pretty happy with how the character was coming out. I like kind of daydreaming and thinking about what kind of magical powers she would have. What are some important skills or spells that you think that a Christmas witch would need? I feel like Everly is particularly a Christmas tree witch because she looks like a Christmas tree and there's a Christmas tree in her picture. So she probably has some kind of special connection to nature and the forest or decorations or something. After I finished blocking the shadows, I went back over the dress and I started adding in more textures and patterns. So I added in these nice lighter green stripes on the peplum part of her overcoat. I think that the stripes came out really cute. I love that they add a nice layer of texture. After doing the stripes on the peplum, I went ahead and started adding in some polka dots on the big skirt. I don't really love how these turned out. I think it would have been a lot better if I had used a smoother brush rather than the textured brush, just because it came out really rough looking overall. I was trying to kind of shape the circles so that they look like they followed the shape of the skirt, which I think that they do look like that, but I think that the edges are too rough, and some of them have like gaps in the center where I just kind of outline them. Overall, I feel like I kind of brushed the skirt a little too much, so it didn't come out exactly how I liked it. After finishing up the skirt part, I went in to render the face a little bit more. So here you can see me adding in some purple shadows in addition to those reddish pink shadows that I already put on. And these will just help the face look a little more three-dimensional. I did the same thing in the hair, and then I go on to render the hair. For this hair, I went in with that textured brush that I'm using, and I just drew in some hair strands. I also added in these purple colors around the eyes. I always like to do this because I feel like in real life people have like dark circles around their eyes. And there's usually like a little highlight in the corner of the eye. So I feel like it just kind of brings a little more color into the face and a little more dimension. And I'm adding in some highlights here too. I think that maybe I went a little too strong on the highlights, like on her cheek there. I feel like it's almost a little jarring, but otherwise I think that the highlights came out pretty cute. I take so long to decide what to do sometimes. Okay, so now here I'm working on the hair. So to work on the hair, I went in with that textured brush and I just kept playing with the color. So I was changing the hue and saturation as I went so that there's a little more variation in the color. And I added highlights where the hair kind of poofs out, and then some more shadowy parts where it bends in so that it looks like it's capturing the light a little bit better. It helps make the hair look like a 3D shape instead of something completely flat. So I think that her hair turned out really cute, and I think that the textured brush worked really well on the hair, but not so well on the skirt. I'm pretty new to digital rendering, so I think I'm going to keep playing around with brushes and see what I like and what I don't like, because it is very interesting. So many options. Probably too many options, if I'm being honest. Maybe like give me some less options and I can maybe do better. I don't know. So yeah, I really like adding in the little strands of hair, so it makes it look a lot more lively. So I think that her hair turned out really nice. Here I'm adding in some more color over her eyebrows because I really like dark, chunky eyebrows. I don't know why, but I always draw them really dark and big. And then I'm going back over her face and adding in some darker parts where I think that her face needs dark colors, like her nostrils and her eyelashes, and just kind of adding in some finishing touches on the textures of her face, fixing up her lips, her nose. Ooh, I thought of another spell that she's probably really good at, is like making hot chocolate or apple cider or something. Or baking cookies. She's probably like really good at making cookies. Suspiciously good. Magically good. Yeah, so those are some more ideas. Here I'm going back in to work on the background, and like I said before, I didn't want to make a super detailed background, so I'm just kind of adding some textures and colors to the Christmas tree, and keeping in mind that I'm going to make this kind of a blurry background at the end anyway, so as far as like super clean details, I'm not worried about it at all. So I'm just adding in some strokes to make it look more organic, more like a tree. And then I'm gonna go in with some colors from the character and add in ornaments and lights and just kind of try to tie the two pieces together a little bit better. So you can see I added on the lights, and I also tried to add on like a soft lighting effect around each of the little light bulbs. and I cover the entire illustration with a bluish multiply layer and then erase around each of the light bulbs, trying to give it like a nice evening effect, so it's a little bit like she's being lit by the Christmas tree. I also add a few kind of like lens flare lights too. I think that overall this final step turned out really cute. I like how it looks. I like how she looks a little more dreamy and cute like this. So I think that it worked pretty well. I really enjoyed how Everly turned out. I think that she is a very cute character. I love her dress. I'd love to play with her a little bit more, or maybe play with some of the other, outfit designs. Maybe I could make another witch who is more like the gingerbread witch, or another witch who's more like the ice skating one. I think that those could be fun ideas to explore too. But I probably will be moving on from Christmas witches for now, but I think I'm going to keep working on more character design videos because I really do like making new characters. So yeah, that is the end of my illustration. So I went ahead and put the time lapse from Clip Studio Paint in here so you can see all that I did really fast. It makes me look like the fastest artist on the planet, but I'm not. So, thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.